What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Poke Historian. I'm your host, Matt X. This is the show where I flip on the camera. We talk about life, we talk about Pokemon cards, we talk about the intersection of these two things together. And there's something that's been kind of rolling around in my head the last couple days, and it's really the idea of money corrupting the Pokemon card hobby, corrupting influencers and stuff like that. And I wanted to kind of just have a conversation about it and get my thoughts out there because it's something I don't see really discussed too much these days, and I think it at least warrants a conversation, right? So let's kind of start with the YouTube angle, right? Like, if you really want to be a successful PokeTuber, which of course I'm not, this channel's just for fun. I don't ever expect it to get super big. But if I wanted to, and if you wanted to make a channel that's super big, you gotta kind of start doing some weird stuff. You gotta be using these weird thumbnails of you with all kinds of like smug reactions or with your jaw open, that kind of stuff, an angry look on your face, all this kind of crazy stuff to get people to click on. Same things with the titles. You gotta put outrageous titles that make people mad or make people scared or upset. And then you gotta talk about things. Either there's two ways you can handle that. You can either try and be the guy that's like everybody's friend and like you're the super cool pal that like is there for the community and stuff like that. You can try that whole route, or some people will go on there and they'll just start being a complete jerk and just trying to do that to piss people off, to get people to watch that way and to put angry comments. And when I think about all that, I just think to myself, you know what? I enjoy YouTube for the idea of just kind of making these videos for fun, but I would never want to try and like become something that I'm not and start putting out videos just to like get reactions out of people so that I can start getting views and start getting money because of that. But there's a lot of people that have, and it's kind of sad because I think a lot of these people started out like as true like collectors and true Pokemon fans, and maybe to some extent they still are, but at some point you get so caught up in making the YouTube content, I think, that you basically become like a shell of your former self. And they'll use the words like sell your soul to the devil. I think that's a little bit extreme for it, but you really do kind of lose your sense of self and you kind of become more of like everyone's fool, right? Like a medieval fool that dances around in court and entertains the king like a clown. In some ways you kind of start doing that because if you want to chase the big bucks and you want to chase the views, you got to start entertaining and performing for people. And what I always thought the point of YouTube was, at least to some level at the beginning, was not necessarily to like get clicks and get views so you can get money. The whole point was just so people could like share their ideas and thoughts with the community and just to kind of like facilitate the exchange of ideas and knowledge to some level, you know? And I still kind of hold true to that myself. I still kind of look at this channel as something fun for me, a way to kind of get my ideas out there and to talk about the things that matter to me, like in this hobby. And it just sucks that if you kind of want to make it big, you kind of have to let go of some of that. So that's kind of a problem I think I've seen like in the YouTube community, really, among like a lot of the other PokeTubers, and I guess really YouTubers in general. It's like chasing the clicks, chasing the likes, trying to get everybody to watch. You really do kind of lose yourself with that. And along with that too, with the Pokemon card hobby aspect of it, like I've always felt that there should be like a divide between what your hobbies are and like what your career or your job is. And the reason for that is that your hobbies to me should be something that are truly sacred to you and truly are something that kind of help define who you are as a person and like what you're into. And if you take those hobbies and you start really corrupting them and like making them like your main source of income, you kind of lose that specialness that's with them, and they kind of get warped into like something kind of ugly that really isn't you anymore. Like now, like your hobbies become something where you're just chasing the dollar signs, and I just feel like there's something almost just kind of like really kind of gross about that, you know? And that's why I like having the job that I have, because I keep it separate from my hobbies. And not only that, I'm also truly blessed because the job I have doesn't really, it's not the kind of job I think that really makes me kind of like go against like who I am as a person. Like for example, at my job, I can give my opinions on things, I can give my thoughts on things, and I'm not going to be chastised for them. Like I'm not in a position where I have to try and appease anybody or tell anybody what they want to hear as opposed to what I'm really thinking, and I'm truly grateful for that. But a lot of people do, like if you're in sales or something like that, a lot of people, for example, in sales will have to sometimes kind of go against some of their principles and their morals just to get a good sale, and that's just kind of part of the game, and there's nothing you can do about it. But my whole point is, like, I like the idea of really keeping that separate from your hobby. So when Pokemon starts out as your hobby and then becomes your main source of income, you really kind of do taint it. And I think that kind of sucks. And like I said, that goes along with the whole YouTuber thing too, because if you're a PokeTuber and now, you're doing it to make money, then you're kind of tainting the whole process and you're not giving your real opinions on things. I mean, for example, right now too, I think of what does everyone want to talk about right now? What do you keep seeing videos about? You keep seeing videos about the 30th anniversary, and you keep seeing videos about the Destined Rivals reprint. And spoiler alert, this is how you can tell this isn't a channel that's trying to make money, because I'll tell you first and foremost, I don't give a shit about the Destined Rivals reprint, okay? Like, I've already got my Destined Rivals stuff put away, and I don't really care if it's going down, if it's going up, like whatever. Long term, that's all I'm looking at. But that's all people will talk about right now. Why do they talk about that? Because they think that's what everybody wants to hear about. I'm sure that a lot of those other YouTubers would just like to talk about something else, but they're being forced to talk about this, or at least they're being coerced to talk about it because they want to make that money and get those views. So that's kind of where I'm getting at with this. So when you end up chasing the dollars, you end up making content that's really about entertaining your audience versus actually just talking about things that you want to talk about. So getting away from the content creation side of like how I think money has kind of corrupted this hobby, just going into, I guess, the finances in general and kind of getting too monetarily invested in this, I feel like it can kind of lead you to take stances on things and to promote things that aren't necessarily true. Like, for example, right now, everyone's been talking about how we're in like this summer slump, right? Even though really this isn't a summer slump, y'all. Like, as far as I can see, this is just a cooling off of the Pokemon card hobby, which is great. But you'll see a lot of people, they're so financially invested in Pokemon cards that they don't want to admit to themselves and to other people that things are actually slowing down. It's like, because that goes against their interests. It's like, no, this can't be slowing down. Like, I have to convince everybody else that it's not slowing down because I need my investments to keep going up. And so again, like, money kind of in that instance causes you to become disingenuous and kind of start believing things in your own head and telling other people things that may in fact not be correct here. Now, if you honestly believe that the market isn't cooling off and you can provide, substantial evidence of that, sure, go ahead and believe what you want. But I do think right now, if you look at things and you just kind of go on TCG Player and you see how things have been performing lately, things are cooling off. So yeah, just going in with that. And then also just a lot of the people, fake sales on eBay, fake sales on TCG Player, people trying to pump their own investments with these cards, trying to run them up so that they can have their cards go up in value and possibly sell them off. You see a lot of that. And you just see how like money has like slithered into these different areas of the hobby and have really just kind of like tainted things which are supposed to be fun. And don't get me wrong, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with making a little bit of money in this hobby over time. Like, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of it. Like, I always preach balance with things. Like, you don't want to go too far one way or too far the other. You got to kind of find middle of the road, which of course our society right now doesn't like you to go middle of the road. It likes you to pick a team. You're either team left or you're team right, or you're team investor or you're team collector. Life doesn't have to be like that. Like, most of us operate in some area of gray, but that's kind of how things are. And I don't know. I don't like the idea of like turning your passions and your hobbies into like your primary source of income. I do think you lose something with that. So anyways, I suppose that's what I have to say on this topic. I've just been kind of having these thoughts the last few days and I wanted to kind of get them out there in a video. Long story short, I think that as soon as you get money involved with your hobbies, especially something like Pokemon, you can kind of lose your sense of passion for it. And then with like the YouTube stuff too, it's like, as soon as you kind of really start letting money dictate like what kind of content you make, as opposed to just making what you kind of make, you've now kind of sold your soul to the machine. I'm not going to say the devil, but I'll say you sold your soul to the machine, to the algorithm, and you kind of become like a dancing court jester for people. And I don't know, I feel like maybe it's just me, but like I don't really want to be dancing around for anybody. You know, like I don't like the idea of just being somebody's like dancing fool. It just rubs me the wrong way, and I think it's kind of sad sometimes when people turn themselves into that. So, all right, well that's it. That's all I got to say. Thanks for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe. Let me know down in the comments how crazy I am. Hit the notification bell if you want to see more content. And as always, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in my next video.